Ladies and gentlemen, in this episode, you are going to hear opinions. And while the podcast is endorsed by Uriah Heep, the opinions of the host and various guests do not necessarily represent the opinions of the band or any of the members past or present. With that being said, let's celebrate the music of Uriah Heep. Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, and we are wrapping up the last two bonus songs on the Firefly album. It's been a great season, guys. I've really enjoyed digging into these songs. I mean, I've enjoyed digging into all of them, let's be honest here. I don't think there's a single song I haven't liked, or at least found some good things in to enjoy. And, you know, that's kind of what I'm all about. If I don't like something, I don't like something, and that's fine. But I try to find the good things out there. It's just kind of my outlook on the world. It's just not as easy outside of the world of music. Anyway, got a great show for you today. We're heading into that second to the last bonus track, but it is Monday. So first, I have some people to thank and some interesting news for you guys. First of all, if you want to help Uriah Heep get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there is a petition available. You just go and sign it. And that's it. That's all you have to do. It is on Facebook, and you just go to facebook.com/HeepRockHall, and you'll be there. Or you can click the convenient link in the show notes that I have made available to you guys. There's some people that help with the show and help both support it with things that they've done or financially. And I want to thank my patrons. We have at the $5 Easy Living tier, we have Kenny Wymore. And also coming in at the $5 Easy Living tier, we have Brad D. Welcome to the team, Brad. Thank you so much for your generous donation. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. At the $3 tier, the $3 tier is the Wizard tier. We have Peter Voss, Goran Eriksson, and Frank Thielgaard Mortensen. Thank you, gentlemen. Much appreciated. And at the $1 tier, we have the Dustless Airtight Gravesite. That's got to be easy to clean. You know, you just dust off the outside of it and you're good to go. Kind of like that. So there's no dust inside, which is, you know, what you want in a gravesite. So thank all my patrons very much. I also want to thank the people that share all the posts about the podcast, help let people know that it's out there and available for the listening, and the people that have gone on and left reviews or ratings on the various social media sites, especially Apple Podcasts and iTunes, because that is the one that gets the most attention. Although lately I've seen a spike in the Google podcast rating, but I don't see anywhere to leave feedback or rate podcasts there. It's very strange. You know, some of them have them, some don't. I don't know why they choose to or choose not to do that. But in any case, I do know that Apple Podcasts does have that rating system, and that is where the most people listen to podcasts in general. So if you have a moment, please give the show a rating, or if you want, throw a few words down. I would appreciate it, even if you hate it. But if you hate it, why are you listening? So there are some other people that help the show in other ways besides just monetarily. There is, first and foremost, my friend Scott Lazinski, who did an amazing job on the logo for the podcast. And then we have my friends over at Audionamics, who I will not do a podcast without their product, IDC Instant Dialogue Cleaner. No, that is not a paid advertisement. I just love this damn thing. It makes my life so much easier than when I first started podcasting. Oh my God, I can't even tell you the hours that I would put into every show just to try and clean up the audio, to get things to sound right. And with this thing, I just go on the dial, and there it is. It's hours, literally hours, that it has saved me on every show. And then, of course, there's my buddy Dave White, who is Uriah Heep social media director and diligently shares all the shows. I can't thank you enough, Dave, for all that. Really appreciate it. I know that's a lot of work first thing in the morning to listen to the show and post it. But also, good morning, Dave. So we also have some people that are very supportive of my show and shows that I am happy to support as well in the Deep Dive Podcast Network, which has its own Twitter feed and website that is coming along. And first and foremost, Nate and John at the Deep Purple Podcast, The Simple Man at Skinnerd Reconsidered, T-Bone, I can't speak, Terry T-Bone Mathley at T-Bone's Prime Cut. Sorry about that, Terry. On the other side, we have Rye at Sabbath Bloody Podcast, Paul, Joe, and David at In the Lap of the Pods. I know I read that wrong last week because it is written on my sheet as at In the Lap of the Pods, and I just wrote I just read it as At the Lap of the Pods. So there's my correction and my excuse for that. And then our newcomers, Andy and Matt at Hawk Binge, the Hawkwind Podcast, and Eric and Jonathan at Maiden A to Z Pod. I just heard today that Maiden was snubbed again for an entry into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and some other artist who I can't remember even who it was, but made me sad that they were getting the nod to be inducted. And I'm like, I just don't get it. I get the prestige of wanting to be in there. I understand that says a lot about the accomplishment of the bands that have made it in there, but I do not understand the politics of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I never will. I don't care to. It's just pretty obvious that there are politics, and that's pretty much all I need to know. But we can still get Uriah Heep in there, guys. Sign that petition. Click that link in the show notes. It's really easy to do. Also, we have Brandon at Metallicast, my favorite Metallica podcast. And there are many of them. And also, you'll want to check out gottahearemall.com, where my friend Allegra breaks down the live histories of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Deep Purple, and many other tidbits about music that are very interesting. So go check out her site. And then one more podcast / video cast, I guess you would call it, on YouTube. Go check out Ace on Music. He is on Stitcher and YouTube. Very interesting show. He's talked recently a lot about these non-fungible tokens that, I think a lot of us are still just trying to get a grip on how it actually works. How do you create a currency and just go, here's a currency and here's the value of it. So if you're going to trade it or buy it, here's how much it's going to cost, or here's what you have to pay to get a non-fungible token for whatever product or whatever. I don't get how that works. I also don't understand how or what some of these products are that are coming out. Some very strange things are hitting the market, guys, at least according to the little bit of media that I see. I'm not on social media very much, but I have seen enough to make me go, yeah, of course it's headed in that direction because it's a new thing, and why wouldn't it be? That just seems to be the way that things go. Speaking about the way things go, you can follow the podcast on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Uriah Heep Podcast. We are on Twitter at Heep Podcast and on Instagram at Uriah Heep Podcast. And then we have an email that you can sign up to. Go to my website, scotthaskin.com. Click the Uriah Heep Podcast link, go all the way to the bottom, and there is the email sign up. And you go there and you get an entry into the monthly drawing for a prize. Pretty cool. All you have to do is sign up. That's all you get. If you're a patron, you also get an entry automatically. So actually 2 entries now, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's 2, isn't it? 2, yeah, 2. And so if you sign up for the mailing list as well, that'll put you at 3, which is pretty good. So the interesting news that I had is I'm glad that I didn't record the show earlier today when I was going to, because I happened to see on Facebook, here I am saying I'm not on social media much, but I saw this on Facebook. Actually, I pop on very quickly to check on a couple things here and there or post something, but I really don't, go through my feed or anything on any of those sites anymore. But Uriah Heep drummer Russell Gilbrook is now on Patreon, and he has some pretty incredible things that he is offering there. There are 6 different levels that range from some really cool entry level stuff all the way to personal lessons. And man, let me tell you, this is one of the most passionate drummers I've ever seen. And being, that I've been a drummer since I was around 7 or so, this to see somebody who's so enthusiastic, so knowledgeable, so excited about being a drummer. It's not something that he just does. It feels like he just eats, sleeps, breathes it in. And so to get some lessons from him would be pretty incredible. So there is a link in the show notes also to where you can find Russell's Patreon. And I'm going to also add that link to the main Uriah Heep page on my website. But very cool. Well done, Russell. Definitely worth it. Go check that out, folks. So now it is time to get to the song, as we have just a couple left here on Firefly. I'm kind of sad to see him go because I've really enjoyed this album. It's been a real joy to review each and every one of these songs. John Lawton is such an amazing singer, and the dynamic of the band has changed since he's been in there. They feel like they're just more alive. They found new energy, and I absolutely love that. So today we're going to cover a song called I Always Knew. But you didn't know I was going to cover that, or did you? Well, you probably did because you saw it in the show title. So here it is by Uriah Heep from the album Firefly.
Well, you don't have to tell me why. I've a feeling that I know that guy.
Well, I'm going to stop it here for a second because this really sounds rough. It obviously didn't get a final mix or mastering polish at all, but, with the rest of the album, I should say. But it's interesting because it's just listed as a previously unreleased track, not a, demo version or anything like that. But it really sounds like a demo. It's very raw. I love the little pulse in the beginning of the keyboard. I don't know why, but it kind of sounds a little bit like it just reminds me of a carnival for some reason, and I have no explanation for that whatsoever. But it also reminds me of a piece that was covered, kind of redone for a film called The Church, and it was redone by Martin Goldray, who used Keith Emerson on the Moog. And it was a Philip Glass song called Floe, Floe. And if you get the Glassworks album from Philip Glass, I recommend the deluxe edition. It's a fantastic album. But either one has the original version of Floe on it. And there's also a live version that has some vocals on it. But, Philip Glass was a minimalist composer, and a lot of his stuff is heavily repetitive with like a minor change here and there. And but this particular song I first heard in a movie called The Church, which the version that Martin Goldray did for that was much more electronic sounding and a little bit faster. And Keith, I don't know how he played that, but it's like a 10-minute song, and the whole thing is pretty much the same thing over and over with little variations here and there. So it would be terribly tiring on the hands as a keyboard player to play those. So I'm going to guess it was programmed. But in any case, this reminds me of that a little bit, just that opening does. But, John's vocals, the performance sounds good, but the mix of it is a little rough. I'm hearing some distortion in there, a little bit of crackling. So it obviously didn't get the polish of what would have been released for the album. So I don't really know what the intent was behind it. They must have just decided it's not going to make it on the album, so they didn't do a full-on mix. In any case, though, I like the performance so far, and I like the idea, so we'll just have to see where it goes.
I always knew I'd never keep you long. It's funny how times have changed. It used to be me, it felt so strange. I always knew I'd never keep you long. I loved you as part of my life. You know you're the one I adore.
Wow, this really has such a cool, would it be the end of the 70s feel to it? Or is it more 60s? I can't really tell. But definitely love what the guitar is playing there. It sounds really good. The drums sound good, a little more up front in the mix, kind of burying things a little bit. But obviously another passionate performance by John Lawton. And everybody in the band, they sound really good. This feels to me kind of like like an end of the concert kind of song, like let's wrap it up, let's put our arms around each other and just kind of sway back and forth and listen to the final piece of the show. Would make if you're not doing like a hard rock, everybody on their feet as we end this show kind of song, this would be good. This is almost maybe more movie soundtrack-ish, I want to say. But either way, I like the feel of it. I wish they would have done a better mix on it, though.
It's simple, but I've never made this mistake before.
Well, I would have loved to have heard what the solo would have been over this. Definitely something with a wah pedal, I feel. But yeah, it does have that sort of, I'm still back and forth, whether it's late 60s or late 70s. I want to say it's probably 70s because it was like there was this other kind of feel going on when disco was starting to happen and punk was coming in. But in any case, I really like the feel of this. I would have loved to have heard a solo over this section because I feel that's where it would have been. I don't feel like they were missing lyrics over this. I feel like it would have been a good place for the solo. A little early in the song, maybe, but yeah, it could have worked. Man, I'm so bummed because I think they have something really good here. And it does feel a little bit unfinished, without that solo or something else covering that one long section. But I love the chord changes. I love the feel of the song. This is something really good. I guess I can kind of understand why they left it off the album because it is a bit low energy maybe for what they were going for, but definitely a great song nonetheless. I haven't really talked about the bass guitar in this song because it really is buried behind the drums. There's little bits of it that I can hear coming out when he's being a little bit more adventurous and playing some notes that are, kind of cutting through here and there. So I can't really comment on it too much because I'm not fully aware of what he's playing. But I can say that when those notes do cut through, I really like that. It sounds good. And definitely, Trevor Boulder has grown on me. I wasn't that excited about him with the first few songs of the album because I thought he's just doing something that anybody would do, and he's really changed that tradition of Uriah Heep, with the adventurous bass playing. But he's really come around through the rest of these songs, and I can tell just by the notes that are cutting through, he's definitely playing off the mainstream that he was in the beginning. So I wish I could hear it better, but, we get what we get. Well, I guess I could have waited just a few more seconds to speak. I actually didn't look at where the bar was on the audio player. But yeah, what a good song. It's got a good feel to it. It would be such a great ending for like a concert or a movie or something, because it just kind of trails off with that level of it's got that joyful feel to it. And I like songs ending albums or ending, films or things that have that feeling to it. Like everything just goes on. It's going to be okay. And yeah, this is a good song. I just wish we had a better mix of it and maybe a little less crackling and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, I'm glad they included it on the deluxe album. I'm glad I got to hear it. I think it fits in with other things, although the style is a little bit different. It's got just a little bit of that 70s feel. I decided it was 70s. And yeah, good stuff. So that's it feels weird. I feel like the show shouldn't be over yet, but the show's done, guys. That's it. We got through our Monday episode and a really good bonus track. Join me tomorrow for one more episode in season 10, where we cover the last track on Firefly called Dance, Dance, Dance. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!